Hi, friends. Welcome to Lilybug's Library. My name's Linda, and just wanted to talk to you today about one of the books that I have been reading for Canuck July. So I've got a few read now, but this particular one I thought kind of deserved its own video. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was incredible and not a story I had heard before. I really like historical fiction, particularly World War II historical fiction. And this was that, but it was not concentrated on the Nazis in Germany. It was actually, it was set in Toronto, and it was about Molly, who is a Protestant, and Max, who is Jewish, and the friendship between their two families. And then in 1933, when things were starting to escalate throughout the world and people were without jobs, the depression was on. It was a tough time, and apparently because of what they were hearing a lot in the newspapers, some newspapers were reporting things accurately, some were not. And apparently, due to some of that, it started to get more and more of an anti Semitism viewpoint in that area. And their families kind of had a rift because of all of that. And there was also a riot during that time in Toronto, which I had no idea about. That's nothing I'd ever learned in history. And it was I think I had read it was the biggest riot that had ever been in Canada, at least at that time. I'm not sure if that's still the case. And so it talks about the separation of these two families and these young people and everything that happened kind of after that. And it also showed that eventually it goes from 1933 to 1939, and a lot of the people who were involved in a lot of these things ended up going to war. And so the other part of it that was surprising to me, like I said, it didn't concentrate on the what was happening in Nazi Germany. It concentrated on a couple of groups of soldiers who went to Hong Kong, and they weren't trained properly, and they were there because they were just for garrison duty. They didn't think, and their supervisors didn't think, that they would actually face any kind of actual action. So turns out they were wrong. And it's I won't give away any spoilers, but it was not at all what they were expecting. Things really kind of, once Pearl Harbor happened, things kind of went crazy. And so it has a lot to do with the people who were there, and then as well, any people who came home afterwards. It talks a lot about the fact that they just couldn't be happy to be home, that they also had problems. They had PTSD, they had, missing limbs, they had, it wasn't just a matter of being welcomed back into the fold. So it was an amazing story, really well told. The author is Genevieve Graham, and she did a terrific job with it. I'm sure she did a ton of research, but really brought about a part of history that I think has been forgotten, at least for the most part. And it really just kind of, she didn't, I think with a lot of historical fiction, although it's really good, they gloss over some of the harder parts. Um, and this did not gloss anything over, I didn't feel. So I thought she did a really good job of that. She did also talk, I kind of went down a rabbit hole through with the whole thing after I was finished because, like I said, so many parts that I didn't really know anything about. So one of the things that one of the people in the book talks about is a journalist named Ria Kleiman. And apparently her original last name was Kleinman, which was, she was a Jewish woman. And so I guess maybe to hide that a little bit back in that time, she changed her last name to Clyman, which is Clyman. And so I'll put a picture up here. Here, there. I'll put a picture up about her. And she apparently was one of the first women journalists. And and she was the character in the story, Molly, that's kind of her heroine because she too wanted to be a journalist. And so this Rhea Kleiman had kind of paved the way. And so in real life, I guess Rhea eventually ended up in the Soviet Union. And there was something that went on. I'm going to have to look it up because I can't remember how to say it properly. It was called Holodomor. Domor. Okay, well, anyway, and it was, she discovered this when she went to the Soviet Union. And so what she had found out is that Ukrainian people in Russia at that time, they were starving to death to the point where they were eating grass to stay alive. And it was an awful, awful time. And then she discovered what was called Holodomor, which was the fact that the government actually had a lot of wheat and grain and things, and they were not giving it to their citizens. They were creating a purposeful famine. And so nobody was reporting it because nobody wanted to get in trouble with the Russian government. So she actually did report it, and she ended up getting deported from Russia and sent back to Canada. And so there's a lot of articles about her, maybe not as many as there should be, but there are some articles. And there's actually even a DVD that you can get that talks about her story and what she found. And so, yeah, just again, a fascinating part of all of this that I didn't realize had existed. And I'll leave a link below that has where to get the DVD if you decide you want it after reading the story. And it's $20. It seems pretty reasonable for a DVD. And so I was, it was like I said, a 5-star read. I stayed up one night until 2 in the morning reading this, and it was amazing. And so far, one of the best books I've read this year. And I'm not sure too much could beat it. So anyway, hope you get a chance to read it. Hope you enjoy it. And I'll be back soon to tell you more about the other books that I've discovered. And so far, I'm really enjoying this month and all the different authors that I haven't read before. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.